When did you realize that you were the problem?
It took me losing 5 really good friendships because they all stopped talking to me to realize I was the one who stopped talking to them because of fear.
Jobs always seem to go south 3 or 4 months in.
When I got punched, and everyone went and shook the hand of the puncher, I noticed my friends were all getting happier, advancing in life, and I wasn't.
I was insanely shy in school. Like almost fully debilitating social anxiety. It was especially bad in high school when the kids I was at least comfortable eating lunch with went to a different middle school. I saw everyone else as being all-knowing and confident, and having some sort of secret script to know the right thing to say. If someone tried to start a conversation with me, my thought process would be, oh God, why are they talking to me? There must be some hidden agenda, and just try to get out of the conversation as fast as possible. Then this one graduating senior I was mildly acquainted with for some reason dropped to me that people thought I was stuck up. That was mind-blowing to me. Couldn't everyone tell that they were the confident ones and I was terrified of them? Well, no, they couldn't. It was an epiphany that wow, other people are actually worried about what I think of them just like I'm worried about what they think. And if you avoid talking to people, that's actually hurtful.
I realized I was the problem a few years back when I had the coolest fucking therapist in the world. She would say how she couldn't possibly give a fuck about my feelings, she only cared about results for me. Coolest lady ever, and I miss her so much. Anyway, she told me a saying, and the saying goes, you have every right to be angry but you have no right to be mean. My life got so much better after that.
I don't have any friends, so I've had to accept that it's me that's the problem.
Fairly recently realized I'm fat because I'm unhappy, and I'm unhappy because I'm fat. Either way, I'm the only one who can fix it, and I have start giving a fuck.
Recently, whenever I'm angry at my girlfriend and discussing it with her, all she does is apologize. Over and over again. First it made me think that yeah, maybe I'm justified in my anger because she's so apologetic, when in actuality my mood swings are becoming more and more frequent and I'm getting more and more angry over the dumbest shit. A few days ago it hit me why I never see changes in her behavior. I keep finding different and increasingly inconsequential shit to get mad about, regardless of what she does. Made me take a couple steps back and reevaluate my behavior.
I realized I have a hand in every situation in my life, that I am always responsible for myself. Any situation I encounter, I have a choice as to how to handle, respond, and perceive it. I was probably 17 when I realized blaming everyone else for my issues is what my parents do, and I don't want to be anything like them, so I took a step back.
My best friend used to joke that I was creepy, pathetic, and worthless. Then one night they got drunk and confessed they had really meant it all the time. I decided I needed a new best friend and went out and found one. After about a year they let me know I was needy, boring, pathetic, and worthless. Second time was the charm.
As I approach 30, I realized that I have gifted child syndrome, and my success in high school and college theater productions mean nothing when I'm not putting in the groundwork to have a career. Part of that was depression, part of that was liking to get stoned every night.
I was really drunk one night, laying in bed trying to sleep, but all I could hear was insane traffic noise. Sometimes I can hear the road through my window, but this was crazy. Sirens, people shouting, tires rumbling. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but the shouting got louder and louder. I opened my eyes to look outside and see WTF was going on. All I can make out is a police car blocking the road and a policeman running towards me. I'd fallen asleep on a mini roundabout. Edit, since a lot of people are commenting. I wasn't driving, I was walking somewhere before I fell asleep in the road, possibly home, possibly to another pub. Who knows? Stop telling me drink driving is bad.
Maybe no one will see this, but I realized I was the problem when I almost ruined my dad's surprise party by staying in my bed and making my family late, and in my mind I was always thinking they deserve this for what they've done to me. They weren't always there when I was a kid, but now they try to be and I push them away. I'm trying to be better with them, but it just hasn't been the same, cause we got in an argument that day and some tears were shed.
I am very lazy and my husband does a lot of housework and watching our child. I sleep a lot. The reason behind this is depression. I'm not just trying to be an asshole, but I seriously feel incapable of doing anything on some days. Well, we got into a fight once because he was saying that he is overwhelmed and could I just do the dishes because that would help. I was arguing, don't you understand that I just don't feel capable of doing the dishes? After that argument I was sitting there thinking about it and realized the toll I was taking on him. I also realized how bad my depression had gotten. Got up and did the dishes and made a therapist appointment the next day. I've been doing the dishes every day since. It's small and I still need to help more, but I finally realized that I was the problem. It hurt, man. It really hurts to realize that.
I was always unhappy with being over 220 pounds. I tried everything to lose weight. Everything except actually trying, you know what I mean. One day I just thought, FCK it man, I'm actually going to do something, and hey, what do you know? I lost weight. It was kind of a kick up the ass and realized I can bitch and moan about everything, but unless I actually do something I'm ultimately going to be the reason I'm unhappy. I've applied that thinking to other aspects of life, and actually pushing myself to do things makes things happen.
When my boyfriend, now husband, told me he had a hard time handling my mood swings and they were emotionally exhausting him. I'm so afraid of losing him that something clicked inside me that I needed to get myself figured out. And I'm still trying my hardest, but things have improved so much since then. Edit, First Silver, thank you so much, kind stranger.
When my therapist told me I overreact when I feel rejected, even if it's a little rejection, due to lack of love my parents gave me when I was little.
This is sad, but when I had to sleep behind liquor store dumpster on an empty pallet. I was a histrionic, egotist who had so many bridges burned I had to swim. Life has gotten much better since then. I looked around and saw that people were happier when I wasn't involved with whatever was going on.
Growing up, I lived in an abusive household. The way my parents were, shaped me in a certain way. I ended up trading abusive parents for abusive partners. The hurt all felt the same. I let these men abuse and assault me because I thought I deserved it. That made me a toxic person. It wasn't till I was 20 that I realized what I let happen. My relationship ended and I realized I projected my insecurities into my relationship. I've now met someone new and continue to get professional help for my trauma, and I'm completely a different and better person.
Ate 2 edibles that were stronger than I realized and kind of had an epiphany with myself in the mirror. That my life and myself weren't where I wanted them to be, and I was the only one who could do anything about it. So I am.
When I kept having the same cycle relationship-wise. Unfortunately, being abusive, being ungrateful, getting into fights. I finally took a stand and am going to see a psychologist tomorrow.
My friends confronted me and told me, and then I apologized and began to work on fixing it.
About 5 years too late when I saw myself and someone else.
Looking into the mirror 15 years ago and realizing how much of a jackass I am. Don't get me wrong, I'm still an asshole, but I did grow up a tad.
It all began at the start of my actual birth. Both of my parents failed to show up at it. I am just happy everyone knows where this quote is from.
I had many people want to know about me, which was kind of weird at first. After a couple of years, I realized I never cared to get to know people. That's why I always had trouble making friends.
Just today actually. I noticed everyone was having a good time, and for small reasons I found myself getting upset. I just felt a cloud over my brain getting darker and I didn't understand why. We were all having a good time at the park.
I end up hurting everyone I get close to in one way or another. My behaviors are obsessive and manipulative.
By the time I'd been fired from like 20 different jobs, I realized it wasn't just bad luck or just happening to get a bunch of jerks for bosses and coworkers. I was genuinely incapable of competently performing at any job no matter how hard I tried. Anyways, then I went on disability.
In my relationship, it was after I left. I got tired of the usual relationship drama and decided I wanted out after 6 years. I quickly jumped into a FWB situation and discovered just how much of a horrid, controlling, bitchy person I was to be with. Spent some months doing some serious soul searching and my ex ended up texting me. We've been working things out, and although he's not perfect, he's noticed a huge change in me and he loves that I continue to shock him. He was worth growing for and he's worth me trying to be a better person for. We both had to commit to grow, but it took me seeing that wasn't just him that was the problem. I had to take control over my actions and be better. We're now happily expecting our first baby together and I don't think I've ever been happier. I grew up in such a controlling and toxic environment and that's gonna stop with me.
When 3 exes back to back over the years were the ones who broke up with me. They couldn't handle my mental breakdowns and outlashes and self-victimizing and broke it off because they were tired of it. One after the other, it fueled my self-pity until I got tired of the same old story myself. I'm currently with an amazing woman and we've been together for a little over a year now, the longest relationship I've ever been in. Her patience and unconditional love and support with my depression and episodes helps me try to be better and catch myself self-destructing because I don't want to lose another person in my life. I've gotten a lot better over time, but I know I still have a lot of work to do. Mental health does not excuse and give a pass for outlashes. Think of your loved ones and how they get affected by it and apologize to them when you're better. Actively be better for them and yourself.
Went to therapy and my therapist said the fears which you don't overcome becomes your limitations. That hit me so hard with the realization of I am the reason why my social life's shit are.
Used to think people were super harsh because criticism always made me cry. Course I quickly learned, like 3rd/4th grade, that I was just extremely dramatic and also have very extreme anxiety. It's definitely something I've been working on fixing and I'm a lot better about it now.
In middle school I never went to my classes or did my work. I stayed in the office all day and would nap in the sick room. I still ended up going into high school because of the No Child Left Behind Act. I proceeded to do what I always did and ended up being held back my freshman year. I ended up actually getting my ass in gear and balanced both my freshman and sophomore classes and passing both. I'm now a junior and have a 3.5 GPA.
So you know how every workplace has one asshole that no one can stand and wishes would quit or get fired? Well, one day it dawned on me, none of my coworkers was that asshole. I don't know about a specific time, but a good rule of thumb I follow is if one person is in a bad mood, they're in a bad mood. If everyone is in a bad mood, I'm the one in the bad mood. Sometimes it's hard to self-diagnose, but that helps me a lot when it comes to work.
1st grade, when I told Sister Rosemary that I would kick her ass.
When I was growing up we didn't have shit. I always wanted to be able to support myself, so I moved to Colorado 1,000 miles away from everything I knew so that I could learn to be self-sufficient. So many years of being by myself and doing it all by myself made me somewhat bitter in certain aspects. One aspect is I get paranoid that people are taking advantage of me or using me very easily. I don't trust people like at all. It's a wall I've been dealing with my entire life. I've become somewhat toxic to the people I'm around the most and that I care about the most, not always, but I can be very cynical. Lately I've been reflecting and noticed it. It definitely is a problem and I don't want to end up being that guy sitting on his porch with a shotgun yelling at the kids riding their bikes through my lawn. When I realized I existed between keyboard and computer.
I've been told my entire professional life that I'm difficult to work with. I always chalked that up to having to develop a thick skin as a woman who cooks professionally. About 3 months ago I started taking SSRIs after yet another bad year in review and missed promotion. The pills changed my personality so drastically that I realized the negativity and shitty vibes that have been the biggest inhibitor of my career all stemmed from depression and anxiety, and that had I started antidepressants earlier in my life I would have saved myself a lot of heartache.
My ex was horrible to me, mentally abusive, possessive, estranged my family and friends wherever possible so I was alone. Ordered me around constantly. But I was the one letting that happen. Yeah, there's horrible people in life who deserve nothing. But you don't have to live with them, do you? You don't have to marry them, have kids. So I didn't. I left. I was the reason I wasn't happy.
When I reject every sweet, loving, Attractive girl that actually wants to be with me and that I'm comfortable with. I'd cry I do that. Do I like being single so I can't do what I want? Do I hate myself and don't think I deserve it? Both? Something else entirely?
Ages after the fact. Wish I could turn back the clock and apologize.
In high school, when dating, I would always get really annoyed with the guys I dated and wanna break up quick. I thought it was because all high school boys are annoying, which, let's be honest, most are, but it was because of my own attachment issues and anger problems. Didn't even know I had these problems until recent. I would always flip out over small things, like being touched too much or if they were too nice to me. Now I realize I was a dick. When my students all got 50% or less on a test I gave, I realized I was the common denominator.
It was 3 years after meeting my best friend. I would get so jealous when she spent time with someone else, especially her now ex. I exploded on her every time she didn't respond to my texts right away. I had some new lame excuse every month or so. I was so sure every time that something other than me was the problem. I even said shit like it's your fault, or I think I have BPD. One day, after she didn't respond right away, I sent an angry rant about it. While she was responding to me, it hit me like, so hard, harder than a ton of bricks. It was me. I apologized to her. I cried for a long time by myself, realizing how fucking horrible I had been all these years. I said I would change. And I did. The change in me was so fast, it was as if I was a new and improved version of myself overnight. Every now and then I still struggled with not being responded to right away, but now I am completely over that. She is now my GF. We are happy together and I can say that I'm happy with my life.
I was at a restaurant and asked for a blanket to sit on because my chair was vibrating too much. I basically turned into a male Karen. The waiter told me they didn't have that, and gave me a funny look. I was really high.
When I made the realization that most of the women I dated married and had kids with the guy they met right after me, and I'm 30 years old, single and cuddling my dog nightly.
I realized I was the problem because when I left my friends they seemed to smile way more, and they looked happier.
When my jungler quit the game after I started flaming him for missing an easy smite. When I realized that nobody else was holding me back. It was always me.
About a week before my ex broke up with me. Our relationship was rocky because of my anxiety and stress. She had her bad moments too, but a lot of them were spawned because I couldn't accept that someone could have strong feelings for me. When I decided that I wanted to change things around and make up for the issues I caused, she had already decided enough was enough and to end it. I'm still not over the breakup and struggling to move on.
During a counseling session many years ago, I heard someone once tell me I was manipulative. At the time I had heard this said, that all women are manipulative. I thought it was just one of those things and ignored them at the time. After another failed, toxic relationship, I looked into what it meant. I realized I had trouble asking for things directly, because I was scared of rejection and very insecure, self-sabotaging things that felt like they were beyond my control. Delved into some recommendations on PTSD and realized I had PTSD from a traumatic childhood, and an abusive partner prior to the one I'd just lost. Turns out I am codependent, after all of that. Got some therapy. Also found out I have OCD. So it was a busy few months. But Coda really helped me to work out who I am, and to take responsibility for my own emotions and actions. Still got a way to go, but the outlook is a lot brighter than it was previously.
When you play on an expensive instrument and realize that it wasn't the instrument that sounded bad.
I would not take blame. I had been conditioned to narcissistic characteristics. From my lenses it was normal way to act. My soul explained to me that this was not normal. It took a while to change, but I became a better person. I am more emotionally mature and enjoy helping others. I am glad someone believed in me, otherwise I would have ended all alone.
In counseling. So worth every penny. Went from someone I loathed to someone I loved.
Trying to teach my middle son to swim. Last parent, teacher lesson, and he was crying and not liking it, wouldn't jump in the water, etc. Next week, I was just watching from outside the pool, and he was just fine with the instructor. Not precisely sure what I was doing, but it was surely me.
When my former best friend outright told me I was gaslighting her and I realized she was right. That was a reality check and a half. I had an abusive mother and never realized how much of her shitty behavior I adopted and engaged in. Knowing that I had become so much like the person I hate most in the world really did make me reevaluate my entire life. It took me too long to realize how terribly I treated the people I love, to the point where every relationship, friendship I used to have is over.
I just noticed, 1 week ago today. I have been in denial about the sexual assault I experienced 7 years ago and the effect it has had on my life and my family. Today I reported all 4 instances.
Late, so this will get buried, but in case anyone is in a similar place to where I was. When my blood work came back from my doctor visit to figure out why I was constantly in pain, tired and nauseous, and my doctor challenged my statement that I had a 1 or 2 drinks a night habit by asking if I had picked up any other habits since my last visit. When I said no, she showed me which drugs I tested positive for. I never realized I had a problem because I was performing at work and had solid relationships with friends and family. When I got caught lying about my recreational use of substances was when I knew I was in deep. Been totally clean living since Jan 1, 2019, though got back on coffee in October. That's somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 drinks not drunk, around 300 joints not smoked, and several $1,000s in Valium not consumed. My friends seem to form strong bonds and have each other's back. And I'm just there. We graduated from high school this past year and I'm pretty sure no one will even message me. Problem is, I hate social contact and can't bring myself to even answer a message in less than 4 days. I just like to spend my days at home, working out and watching movies, reading. The fact I can't form bonds with people is completely my fault. Hope this all changes when I move to a different state in the next days. New college, new people, new me, hopefully.
As far back as I can remember, my mom communicated it very clearly.
I was physically abusive towards an ex of mine. I'm female. I tried to justify or pretend it never happened for a while, then a good friend came to me after his GF had beaten him and I realized I was just like her. Hated myself for years, but with therapy and stuff I'm way more willing to admit my fuck up and work on making sure it never happens again.
This has probably already been said by someone, but I used to get real depressed and in my feelings about my friends not wanting to hang out with me. Many of my friends are introverted. I would secretly get jealous of interactions they would put in the effort to have, then put up walls as a way to cope. Create distance and wonder why no one wants to hang out? So cringy now that I'm looking back. I realized I was the reason I felt this way. I've become much more open and honest with my friends and the new people I meet. Flexibility has also proven to be important. I started initiating hangouts and my friends were super receptive. Now I feel fulfilled and proud that I'm not afraid of rejection anymore. The more I make plans with people, the more I have plans with people. It seems so simple, like 2 + 2 = 4, but I guess it's hard to see the forest for the trees, you know? Dr. I was lonely, so I started reaching out rather than expecting others to reach in. It worked. Smile.
I realized I was the problem when I witnessed my progression over time and the solution has not resolved by my current state of actions. The only way to progress is to comfort and alter yourself.
On my 24th birthday, my parents were living overseas and out of phone reception, same with my sister. Not a single friend messaged me. I called a mate to say hi and he was raiding WoW with his girlfriend. Asked if they were doing anything and they said that they didn't have any plans. Asked if I could come over just to hang out and they said of course I could. So I spent the day watching them play WoW just so I was close to someone, all 3 people not saying anything to each other. But at least it was better than being alone. I'm now married, but I make sure that every single person I meet, whenever I learn of their birthday, I put it immediately into a new calendar entry repeating every year in my phone and make sure to message them. Such a small gesture on my behalf that takes no time, usually just get a thanks mate, hope all's well as a reply, but I know what it feels like to get nothing and I never want to have anyone experience that again.
I grew up thinking I was the problem. Still do. I likely always will.
Fuck, I hate when this happens. Better than not ever realizing, I guess. Growth. Aging. Meds. Life experiences. I think we all realize at some point in life that we're the problem, it just varies what and when it is. For me, it's been realizing that my anxiety and depression are the cause of a lot of life problems, see, meds. But I think for a lot of people, it's good to start with a visit with a good friend who you can trust to be honest with you, or with a therapist. I'll let you know when it happens. But don't hold your breath.
The very instant I was born,
when I realized nobody likes to be around depressed people, I thought opening up to friends was normal, but after a while people just got tired of me not getting any better. When I woke up and asked who shit my pants,
I'm in the middle of realizing it. I'm on my second month of a stress leave for general anxiety, and now that I'm feeling better, my psy asked me to fill my days with different things, training, cooking, a course on drawing, etc., whatever I want. I did start to exercise and go to yoga classes, started writing again and going to cafes, but that's about it. I didn't start to cook seriously yet, avoided one course I found interesting, doesn't do the book of exercises she gave me, etc. But then I get bored at home, watch Netflix, curse myself for not doing anything else. And I don't have the job for an excuse of I'm too tired. I'm wasting that precious time of getting on a new foot but just keep repeating what I always did. I'm definitely the problem.
When I was younger, I had a hard time making friends. I became a social outcast that commented on everything that anyone did. I was trying to be funny, but really I was being pretty rude. I just needed the attention. When someone I look up to told me that I weren't being funny, I was being annoying. In the moment it made me sad, but in the end I understood how that he was right. I didn't make the change for him, but rather, he made me want to change. Overall, I would say it changed me for the better. I even became friends with the guy, to some degree. I just wish someone had told me sooner.
A lot of the time when I feel sick in the stomach, I get nervous that I'm going to throw up, which makes it worse. Then it being worse makes me even more nervous, and it just keeps going in a cycle until I can't take it anymore.
I was 20 and my life sucked. I was fat and not a good person. I saw so much shit around me, but I was so smart about what caused everything. I would say I was fat because of my asthma, etc. One day I just realized that I am the cause of all my life's problems. I actually was depressed for almost a year when I could only blame myself for everything. Then it became like liberating, because if I can be better I can make my life better. Unfortunately, I have taken responsibility too far. I now take the blame for the ills of the world. Like if I can work hard enough I can fix the world. So I donate a ton of time and money to causes.
I mean, it may not be too late to reconnect either. Me and a good friend from my childhood who I grew up with lost touch around 16 years old. We reconnected when we were like 25 and now we're great friends again.
Fear of what? I'm curious. I feel like this also happens to me.
During the darker parts of my depression, I began thinking that everyone was excluding me. They were, but I also began excluding myself. Not hanging out when invited, not talking to anyone. My whole friend group left because of a lot of misunderstandings that could have been avoided if I had just said what I was going through.
Holy shit, this was the come to Jesus post I needed. I've lost so many people I've considered close friends because I stopped making the effort or canceling plans or saying maybe next week then never following through. I've become such a homebody over the last year and have declined so many invitations to things that it makes sense they don't make as much of an effort to try to fit me in when I do feel like doing something. It's a give and take with our busy lives and I've stopped giving. Damn. Thanks for posting this. I needed that.
I have the same problem and honestly I don't know how to fix it.
Ah yes, end of the honeymoon period.
I've been a line cook for 4 or 5 years now, and I've left every place blaming management or being understaffed or whatever. But this last place I was at, I started hating it after a couple months again. It's a small mom-pop place and they really don't know how to run a business, cook, but they aren't the reason I hate the job. I just hate cooking for other people. I realized I think I know how everything should be done and everyone else doesn't. I used to have this problem. Eventually I just maintained normalcy long enough at a job to settle in and not be a problem. I enjoy going for the first few months, then it starts to become an annoyance, and now the thought of going to work ruins my day, and all I do is work as a cashier for 4-hour shifts at a time, 3/4 times a week. Not sure how I'm going to not blow my brains out at a real job if I ever get to that point in my life, lol.
Holy shit, why are you attacking me like this?
Same here. I'm literally in the midst of it right now and trying to break the cycle. I'm so sorry, but this made me laugh.
Courage to say this.
Just wanted to say that even though it might feel like some friends have it together when they post on social media, doesn't mean that they do have it together. These days I rarely post. When I do, it's about food, or family. Rarely do I post about the gong show that is life. Edit. Thanks for all the responses. I can't respond to them all but have enjoyed reading them.
Same. They all went to Key West 2 weeks ago as a last hurrah. One of them has a rare, aggressive cancer, and I learned of it on Facebook. Telling me I wasn't invited would have stung much less.
I had this long thing typed out, but fuck it, I felt this in my court frown.
This one really hit home for me. Even though me and my friends are still in each other's lives, I can see the transition happening.
What you said was straight out of an episode of How I Met Your Mother when they were up to their old antics in the bar, and then it was Ted and Barney sitting together and he asks where everyone else is, and Barney said that they aren't here and that even he is just his imagination, at that time, because everyone was with their baby or getting married or doing other grown-up stuff and he was still in the same place. Edit. Found it https://b/up9jtjlbc. I didn't realize how bad the problem was until it hit me. I was never a best man in a wedding, and when my wedding came I couldn't think of anyone who I have been close enough to that I would call a best man. I just choose my brother and 3 guys I knew at the time who were surprised I chose them, because we were only casual friends.
I stalled out big and it wasn't my fault. Though this attitude took a long time to reach, I've always thought that I'm the problem. The same thing happened to my mom. She didn't have social anxiety so much as she was shy. And one day someone told her that she was stuck up, and always had her nose in the air. She didn't realize how her shyness came off to people.
Greater than that was mind-blowing to me. Couldn't everyone tell that they were the confident ones and I was terrified of them? Well, no, they couldn't. I've been told the stuck-up thing too, and had the same exact feelings upon hearing that. I don't think I'm better. I think I'm worse. Haha. But yeah, social anxiety can make you come across cold. And if you give in to that side of yourself too deeply, it can really hurt others. It's a bit insidious. You're just trying to protect yourself, but you end up hurting everyone including yourself.
Thank you for watching. We publish amazing Reddit stories every day. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe to keep the dog smiling.